Keep it short, Desiree, and concise.
Be fun.
Be fun.
Don't forget.
We got 35 seconds before we go live, kiddies. We are live now, but 35 seconds before we start this, baby. I gotta let other people in the door. Okay, Desiree, make sure you unmute yourself, okay? Perfect.
What was that class you just had?
All right, 10 seconds.
Is it for real or are you nervous? Just saying. It was in the airport.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Charlie Jett, and we're coming to you live from beautiful downtown Chicago. This is our 38th salon. We can't believe we had that many. And our 4th salon online, and it definitely will not be the last. Those of you who have joined us and will be joining us, please keep in the Zoom room, please keep yourself muted so we don't have noise pollution and that sort of stuff. You'll have a chance to come in later and ask questions if you want. So welcome in. Nancy, what do you have?
So yes, Charlie, and actually I would recommend people look at our website, chicagosalons.org, to see some of the amazing ones we've had before now. So thank you, Charlie. The Black Oak Ensemble, who are here from who live in Chicago, and we adore them, were named for the black oak, a beautiful tree that's native to their home state and our home state of Illinois. There's actually one that stands in the front yard of Desiree Rookstrack and David Kunloff's house. On the back of their last successful European tour, the Black Oak Ensemble is happy to present their new project, Undiscovered French String Trios. While in Corsica, the ensemble became acquainted with the music of a Corsican composer named Henry Tomasi, and are proud to present his string trio as an American premiere at tonight's event. The program will be complemented by other French string trios. All of these pieces are written at the beginning of the 20th century by important French composers who are more famous for their wind or piano music as opposed to the string music. But tonight we will be enjoying string music. We absolutely love the Black Oak Ensemble members. They performed here in our home when we could get together in person and delighted the audiences. I'm sure all of you will be delighted tonight. Desiree Rookstrack and David Kunloff are both founding members of the Lincoln Trio, which was nominated for a 2017 Grammy for Best Performance by a Small Ensemble. The third member of the trio, Aurelian Pederosi, was a founding member of the 2017 Grammy-nominated Special Quartet and the Anaphora Ensemble. I think his mother is actually going to be watching from France online. You have joined us to hear this marvelous trio, so here they are.
Take it away, Desiree.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Hello from Highland Park, Illinois. We're actually just right down the road from Ravinia Festival. So it's a real pleasure for us all to be with you tonight. I'll introduce the rest of the ensemble. David on cello, who is my husband, is right there. That's David Cunliffe. And we have Aurelian Pedersoli on viola, right here. And we have a lot of French music for you, but because of the fact that this salon happened to fall at Beethoven's birthday, we thought that was a very important composer to include, as it is his birthday month this month. And we will do that right after we do this opening piece, which is really one of our favorite pieces to play. And it's actually one of David's favorite pieces because of the fact that not only he plays cello, but he loves to play piano. So I'll let David talk about our opening piece.
Hi, everyone. So we're actually going to start off with the aria of Bach's Goldberg Variations. And some of you may be familiar with this amazing set of variations that was made really famous by Glenn Gould in the 1960s, 1950s, 1960s, 1970s when he recorded these pieces. They're just an incredible set of variations written by J.S. Bach, and we're just going to play the aria. We think this is such a serene, beautiful opening to any concert, so we hope you enjoy this.
Everybody's applauding.
Yeah, so we often joke about that, Charlie, you know, when we do these Zoom concerts. Imagine the thunderous applause. But we'll imagine it for now, but thank you, thank you. So the next piece, as Desiree mentioned, is going to be a work by Beethoven, or at least a part of a work by Beethoven. This is the 250th anniversary of his birth. So everyone has been celebrating as much as they can with COVID and everything else, this momentous occasion in classical music. So we thought it'd be great to include a little bit of Beethoven. So if you ask a musician who their favorite composer is, very often they say Beethoven. If you ask what favorite work by Beethoven they like, very often they mention the string quartets. And they are incredible works. All of these amazing string quartets that Beethoven wrote, they were so fantastic that many composers for years later were so frightened and intimidated by these amazing pieces of music that they didn't write any string quartets themselves. So it's a real tribute to Beethoven that these works were so incredible. But what many people don't realize is that before his string quartets, he wrote some string trios. Some people speculate that he was sort of trying out the smaller chamber music medium of strings of just 3 people. We don't really know, but he wrote several works for string trio that we think are absolutely fantastic. So we'd like to play a serenade. Now this serenade is made up of, I think, 7 movements or something like that. But we're just going to play sort of certain movements from that. We're going to play a march to begin with, and then we're going to play the adagio, an adagio movement after that.
Hey, Desiree, can you realign the camera? We can't see everybody. Thunderous applause.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hi, I'm Aurelian. Nancy mentioned this at the beginning of the show, the performance, the salon, that we are starting the process of recording an album of French trios. And it was kind of kickstarted by a piece that we fell in love with a long time ago by a composer named Jean Cras. I'll come back to him when we do play him. But it kind of crystallized last year. We were on tour in Corsica, which is a lovely place. And if you haven't been, I really would advise you to do so. And we were sitting at lunch, and one of the persons that hired us mentioned that this composer from Corsica, Henry Tomasi, probably wrote a string trio. And Henry Tomasi composed in the 20s, 30s, was born in Corsica, died in Corsica, and he is most famous for wind and brass music. And if you're a trombonist, I hope you're not, but if you are, and you're trying to get into lyric or CSO or New York Phil, one of the concerto you have to play is by Henry Tomasi. That's how well known he is in this kind of instruments. But as far as string instruments, not so much. And we got this music and we absolutely love it. It's a wonderful, wonderful piece, and we've started learning it and getting more familiar with it. We have recorded it on a YouTube video that's quite funny. That's on our channel, Black Oak Ensemble YouTube. And we recorded it in the southwest of France, which is the closest we could get to Corsica. And tonight we'll play the first movement of that piece. It's very short, but it kind of gives you a good idea of the kind of music there is in this piece. And we're hoping, COVID provided, that we'll be able to play that in Corsica in May, if we can fly, or I don't know, take a boat. I hope you enjoy it. Yeah. So that was Henry Tomasi's first movement of his only string trio. And now we're going to go to the piece that I talked about earlier by a French composer named Jean Cras. And if you Google him, one of the first pictures that comes up is this guy wearing a Navy uniform with a kitten on his shoulder. And he was a very, very, very interesting person. He was kind of a luminary as far as French naval army goes. And still to this day, many different navies use some of the techniques that he puts together. And one of them is called the Cras maneuver, actually. But he was also an incredible composer. But it was more like I wouldn't say a hobby, but it was not his day job. And this piece is played not as frequently as it should be, but it's been recorded a few times. And it's a piece that he wrote in many different places on the Indian Ocean and other places because he would compose while he was at sea. And I don't know if it's true or not, but apparently he wouldn't get on a boat unless there was a piano on it. I haven't checked. I actually just got in touch with one of his family members, so maybe we'll find out if that's true or not. And it has 4 movements. We're going to play 2 movements. And it is incredibly like picturesque music. You can if you close your eyes, you can really imagine where he wrote it and what kind of place it was and if the wind was crazy or not. And you can hear that. The third movement, the second movement we're going to play is actually the cello and the viola are supposed to imitate the sound of the gamelan, which is a metal instrument that you hit. And I mean, we do our best. From Indonesia, yes. And so first and second movement of Cras, the greatest thing about it, not the greatest thing, but the cool thing about it, is at the end of every one of his pieces, he writes the longitude and latitude of where he finished the piece, which I know that for Charlie and whomever else that was on a boat or submarine that's listening, should be kind of interesting. So I hope you enjoy it. We're going to play 2 movements, and that's it.
That's what he said. Takes that. She's aging badly. Look at her eyes.
All right, so now we're going to leave. We were maybe on the ocean somewhere, and now we're in a very dark place. We recorded this album, Silent Voices, 2 years ago now on Steady Records. And it's music from composers who were murdered during the Holocaust. Most of them wrote the music either in the camp or in captivity. And it's been a very long and emotional work for us. We got in touch with some of the families of the victims, and it kind of culminated with a lot of those pieces were written in a concentration camp named Theresienstadt, which was a fortress right outside of Prague, where they put first the intelligentsia and then the Jews. And for a while, it was kind of a model concentration camp, if one could call that, where the Nazis used a lot of the Red Cross videos to show that everything was okay, that life was still okay. So they had fake shops, and the artists that were living there were still making art, composing and playing music, or trying to. And the Nazis used that to prove that everything was okay. And two composers were interned in Terezin, Hans Krasa, who was quite famous already at the time, and Gideon Klein, whose second movement of this trio we're going to play. And both of them wrote string trios while in Terezin. And last summer, we were lucky enough, not this one, the one before, we were lucky enough to go to Theresienstadt and play this music where it was written and film it. And I think there is a video or documentary coming out soon, hopefully. And it's incredible music. And the difficulty for me when we play concerts like this one, where there is no printed program, is whether I should give you context on the piece, or if I should just let you listen to the music and like the music for what it is. Because when we got this music, we didn't know the context of it. We just fell in love with the music. We thought it was great music. And then when we found out where it was written, by whom, and how close to their death, it put the music in context. But one of the things I'm always afraid of is that now you're going to listen to it with, the respect that it deserves, but without an open ear. That said, now that I've tell you all that, now you know, this piece was written in Theresienstadt a few months before he was finally deported to Auschwitz and murdered. We recorded all this music, like I said, on Steady Records, and we're actually starting to fundraise because next year, if COVID permits, we're trying to bring this music to as many synagogues and community centers, not only in the US, but in Europe as well. We don't always have enough funds for this kind of performance, this kind of activities, and we've had so many people tell us that they would love to have us, but they just can't afford the plane ticket or something like that. And so to be able to help that, I think would be quite important, especially in the times in which we live, where sometimes, it's not so far away. So the second movement is based on Moravian theme. He was Moravian. It's quite dark, but it's also extremely beautiful, and I hope you enjoy it. Oh my God.
Perfect. Thank you, Aurelian.
Should have just given me a microphone. I wouldn't have to walk that much. The next piece is kind of has a relation to this one only because the composer is also Jewish, and that's pretty much where it stops. We actually learned this piece because we recently played for the opening hall of the Wheaton College in Wheaton, and we opened their new hall, which is a fantastic hall, one of the best halls in Chicago. There's a few others, but this one is definitely up there. Incredible sound. And the series director, Tony Payne, asked me if we would want to play this piece by Adolphe Adam, which is Oh Holy Night. And at first I didn't really know why he would want us to do that. But then the story is quite clever, and at the time, with the political turmoil and everything that was going on, not that it's over now, but it felt that it resonated pretty well. The story goes that in the 1800s, in a small town called Roquemart, which in French, there was a priest who decided to ask the local wino, who was also a lawyer and a poet. He asked him to write a poem about the birth of Christ. And so he did, and he liked it so much that he asked his friend to write the music for it. His friend was Adolphe Adam, who happened to be Jewish. So here you had a wino and a Jew writing Christian music, which sounds like a joke, and people loved it. And then at the beginning of the 20th century, the church kind of cracked down on it and was like, well, you know, it's not really kosher, if you want to say that. And said, you know, this song should not be played anymore. And for a long time, it was completely overlooked and not played until it came back in fashion in America, actually, through an anti-slavery movement that would sing it quite often, because the lyrics are very good and they are applicable to a lot of human problems. And so we learned it, we played it, and we liked it, and so we're going to play it tonight. So it's Oh Holy Night by Adolphe Adam. Christmas Carol, yes. That's why you should give me a microphone. No.
And now for our final piece. Before we do, I just want to thank Charlie and Nancy so much for doing this, not only for Black Oak Ensemble, but for many other ensembles and people in the Chicago area. It hasn't been easy to not be performing and playing, so to get this opportunity to be sharing music and playing is just really wonderful for us. And Charlie and Nancy, we really can't thank you enough.
Well, we love featuring you guys. You are special for us, and we'll find something to do in the spring too. Is that okay with you?
That sounds great. And in the meantime, we will close out tonight with something fun that is actually normally heard with a big violin solo at the beginning. But since we have a viola virtuoso, I have handed that over to Aurelian, and it is Monty's Chardas. So we will end this with Chardas, and we'll be back afterwards to chat with you if any of you want to say hello. We will be back, so don't leave. Just listen to our final piece. Thanks.
Okay, now make sure you move the camera so we can see everybody.
Yeah.
The other, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That's pretty impressive, isn't it?
much as you thank us, we thank you for this most delightful evening. Music just warms the heart and titillates the brain and keeps us connected in this very crazy time we're all living through. Your amazing music just brings us to balance and appreciation of the qualities of this earth.
And we're open now for a Q&A session, and all you have to do, and we kind of, this is like going to be like herding cats, I suppose, and we'll try to keep it under control a little bit. But if you want to ask a question, just unmute yourself and shout out, okay?
Or do you want them to put it into notes?
I think it's best. I think it's best just to let them go.
Hey, thanks. Charlie and Nancy, this is great. I love being able to hear it, and I feel like I have a date. I have my mother in California and my mother-in-law in New York both on, so it's been fabulous.
And Teresa in Indianapolis. We love
That's
you.
right. That's right. But Desiree, like, how do you all get together and practice? How have you been able to do this in this kind of a setting where we can't do shows and we can't go to listen? I mean, how are you surviving?
It's been interesting. Since Aurelian lives really close by, and he has actually not left his house, and it makes it for the three of us. It's pretty easy also because of our instruments being very portable. Obviously, this makes it easier to get together and rehearse. And since David and I are married, that also helps, right? Yeah.
You got married. Other questions?
Desiree, how many pieces are on the upcoming French album?
10.
And how many composers?
There's 10 pieces. Sorry, I'm not Desiree, I'm Aurelian. There's 10 pieces, and there's 10 composers. Right.
Yeah.
So 10 pieces, 10 composers.
And they all lived around.
And they all lived around the same time, roughly. I think the oldest composition we're playing is in the 50s by a pianist named Robert Casadessus. Was a famous French pianist. He played in Chicago, he lived in New York. He was a accompanist for Zino Francescatti and a lot of really, really great musicians. And he was also a composer. He wrote a concerto for viola that he attributed to Bach for a very long time. I mean, we have like 3 concertos, so I have to.
Yeah.
That's super, yeah. So yes, 10 CDs, 10 composers, 2 CDs.
It's a double CD. We're putting 5 composers on each CD.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. It's a lot. It started out as a much smaller project, and the more people we met and the more we got connected, it kept on blossoming. And when you get new pieces, you never know how they're going to sound, or the expectation is always hopeful that something's great, but sometimes you sift through so much music, and it just so happened that every time we read something new, I think we really
well, and we still have like at least 3 or 4 pieces that we couldn't put on the album that were really good as well.
I can't wait to hear more of it.
Yeah. Oh, you will.
Yeah, because we got to get it all learned and played in before we record it. So
cool.
We've just put a link on to PayPal to contribute to this amazing group. It doesn't go to us, it goes straight to them to help them so they can keep collecting music, so they can also travel and perform. So check the chat box on your screen.
And everybody that got tickets through Eventbrite, we're going to send you a little message with a link to how you can donate to the Black Oak Ensemble, totally tax deductible, and help musical groups like this during these times.
These are the kinds of things that give us balance and give us joy in life. When we have such an amazing, talented group like Black Oak, how lucky we are to have them in our lives and giving up their time to perform. So we definitely all need to support them.
Hey, I want to tell you guys, you're getting a lot of things in the chat area about people just seem to love what you just did.
Oh, cool. There is a chat.
And that's my cousin is here. I just noticed. Hi, Ryan.
Who's your cousin?
Florida.
Hi, Claudia.
Hi, everybody.
Can we save these?
Yeah.
Take screenshots, or will these be saved?
Yeah, but just feel free to open up and say hi to the group here and get to know one another. We got all evening, okay?
I have Don. I'm seeing your I see your lovely library again tonight.
Judy, it's good to see you.
Judy
I want to ask these guys, what has been better than you expected during this terrible last year that we've been going through? Anything at all?
So yeah, more time to listen to music, to just, more time to practice. It's all sorts of good things have come out of it, I would say.
Yeah, and I think, what's often so happens as musicians, you're juggling so many things at the same time that sometimes it's hard to focus for a project. And this gave us the time to really explore, initially this French album was only going to be one CD. And because of COVID and not being able to actually start recording it, we were able to get in touch with some of the families of the composers, and it's been a much bigger journey than we thought it was going to be. And just being able to sort of organize and get tasks together, and it's just nice to have that time because you just don't have that freedom usually.
Well, Desiree, David, can you hear me?
Yes.
On a happier note, so I'm doing my own Ravinia picnic. I've got my candle. I've got my wine. And off to the side, I just finished off a plate of escargot and foie gras on brioche toast points.
Perfect,
well,
Tom.
Perfect. You couldn't have done that better, Tom. that's really fantastic.
French.
Yeah, and Tom has been, Tom has been first and foremost a really wonderful friend. And a few years back, we have this tiny little festival in the south of France, and he actually came to the festival, which was really wonderful. And then after the festival, offered to have a commission of a piece for our group. And the exciting thing was, and actually that's another good thing about COVID, is that we couldn't go this summer. So that means it's postponed till next summer. So Tom can actually hear his piece live, hopefully in France. It's by
and everyone else can come to France.
Everyone else can come to France. But it's a piece that was written by David Ludwig. He's at the Curtis Institute of Music, David Ludwig Cirkin, and he wrote an absolutely fantastic piece, which will be up on our YouTube channel shortly.
Where are you performing in France?
Well, in France in May, we're performing in a band. We're performing in Paris, Nancy, Grenoble, and then we're going to Switzerland, probably Genève, Lausanne, and Neuchâtel. And then after that, we're playing Nice and then Corsica. We have a residency in Corsica. One of the really cool things that we're working on, as well as this album, is we've commissioned 4 Corsican composers to write us string trios. When we go there in May, if they're allowed to send, if we go there in May, we will premiere those pieces with them. So that's very, very cool, I think.
Is the schedule up on a website?
Not yet, because
website to go to?
All of those concerts are not up on the website because all those concerts are being rescheduled from last May. So I'm juggling dates as we speak right now with 15 different presenters and trying to make them all fit. And this is very, very difficult. So as soon as I have the dates, you can go. But you can go check out the website regardless. It's www.blackoakensemble.com. Also, I saw in the chat someone asked where they can get the CD for Silent Voices. You can get it at Steady Records because, support your local record store. You can email us or Amazon or iTunes, anywhere, just Silent Voices. If you go to Steady Records, Silent Voices, can't miss it.
Yeah, we've got some connections for you when you get to Geneva.
Oh, cool. Great. Yeah. We played in Geneva like a year ago.
Yeah, we have several very good art connections there.
Oh, awesome. We should connect.
Yeah. And Steady Records, for those who don't know, is a recording company in Chicago The CEO is Jim Ginsburg. If the name sounds familiar, he's the son of the notorious RBG. And Black Oak has been featured at some of the yearly celebrations from CD Records, usually in September. It did not happen this year, but Black Oak has been featured there several times.
So could I ask a question?
John, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. John Stevens, Cincinnati.
Number one, I want to congratulate whoever produced the concert because the sound is really good.
Oh, good.
Great. That's a plus.
Thank you.
Hey, we'll take all the credit we can get. We didn't do a thing.
Well, somebody did. And the second thing is I wanted to ask the musicians, and I'm embarrassed that I don't know this given our long association, but how did you meet and where, and can you talk about your history together?
Okay, well, it's sort of very interesting. David and I also have a piano trio, the Lincoln Trio, that we've been doing since 2003 and continue to do it. And it's really wonderful. And we met Aurelian, who at the time was the first violinist of the Spectral Quartet, and which is a mainly contemporary music quartet. And I think we hit it off really well because you probably noticed David's a Brit, and since Aurelian's from France, and my family's all in Germany and in Switzerland, we just had a lot in common with the whole families over in Europe, and we're all here in the United States. And actually, David and Aurelian became citizens at the same time.
I was first.
Yeah, you were first by a couple of weeks. They started at the same time. But in any case, how did Aurelian get from violin to viola? Do you want to say how that happened?
Oh, yeah. So I think Desiree and David were supposed to play a concert for the Stradivari Society.
Yeah.
And there was no violist, as the violist bailed. Violists often do. And I'd never played the viola, and I couldn't read the clef either. And I was on tour in Pittsburgh with my quartet a few days before that. So I found someone to loan me a viola, which is much easier than you think. And I spent the whole trip in the hotel room writing the names of every note above every note, which string it's supposed to be and what finger to use. And then I played it. And what I realized through the torture of learning this pretty much blind was that I really loved the instrument. I loved the instrument itself is wonderful, but the role of the viola in chamber music is a special one, because if you talk about a string quartet, you have two violins and a cello, and the viola kind of connects all of it. And in the string trio, it's even more so, because we're all soloists to a certain degree, and we all weave in and out of the solo part, the color and the bass, and that is excellent. And in chamber music, you seldom have that, and it's generally in mismatch ensembles, like the piano quartet, for example. You have the same kind of role changes, and I think that really attracted me to the instruments. And then we started playing together, and then I left the quartet in 2015, and then just went straight into this.
And I think, oh gosh, I'm speaking for you, David. That's what happens. But we love the piano trio literature. I mean, it's really fantastic. But I think the thing that you miss playing in a piano trio is the great string repertoire. And the problem with string quartet repertoire is it's so difficult to put a quartet together. And there's so many string quartets. And actually, David used to play in a professional string quartet as well. And he really missed playing a string repertoire, as I did. As like I said, as much as we loved our piano trio repertoire, to play with just strings and create a string sound is really something special. And the string trio repertoire really has not been explored that much. So we're really excited about the fact that, I mean, for Silenced Voices, we found so many pieces that if they were recorded just once before and nobody had heard of them. And to bring these composers and these great pieces to the forefront, and the same with this French album. These are composers that deserve to have their music heard. So
yeah, and it's something you wouldn't have with a string quartet. Like you couldn't come out with a 10 composer album from 1920 of French music. It's just not possible. And I think that's, I mean, it's as an ensemble, it's also so malleable because we can add any instruments we want to it, whether it's piano, we play with bandoneon players, guitar players, and it's something that we can take, and we're very skinny, and you can put us all in the car, and we can go anywhere. But I think also for us, it's the sound that we have together. It's a really great experience to play together and to play a string trio. Not that many play that.
Yeah.
Hey, we had a request from our darling Ellie, who was on our last salon, Ellie Toyota, who was magnificent on her violin. Her question was, would someone from the ensemble be able to share the titles and the composers of the pieces you performed tonight?
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what, if you could send them to me, I'll put them on the Chicago Salon site, because post what happened and all that kind of thing, along with the recording of the whole event. So we'll get that back to share it with everybody. But thank you, Ellie, for asking that question.
And one of the things I adore about your trio, besides being some of the best musicians, you're at the top end of the musicians I've ever heard, is you find unique composers that most of us haven't heard about. It isn't I adore Beethoven, blah, 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 blah. But the three of you find composers who are brilliant, who no one has heard of, and you bring them together in a whole performance piece, a whole recording that awakens all of us to what can be beyond those known composers, and that is magnificent.
Yeah, thanks for saying that, Nancy, because I think that's one of our missions, is that there are so many recordings of Beethoven and Mozart and Brahms, and we honestly think that there are so many composers that are not heard enough, that maybe just got sidestepped through history. And particularly in this French album, we think some of these composers are absolutely first rate. I mean, I would rate Jean Cras along with Debussy, Fauré. I mean, he is an exceptional composer. He didn't write very much music. I mean, that's probably why he wasn't heard. He wasn't marketing his own music. He was aboard a ship for most of his life. So that's what really makes us excited, I think, about discovering composers who we feel should be heard more.
And people don't understand. A lot of people don't understand that chamber music and the kind of music you're performing used to, in the way long past, used to be party music. It was the kind of music that people would come to gatherings, and since they didn't have TVs or CDs or any record players or anything like that, they brought their instruments and they just jammed. And that it's fun. And when you go to a concert of chamber music and sit stiffly and listen to that, that's not the way it was really designed.
Well, it is a very intimate experience. Hopefully after COVID-19, and we're hoping that chamber music will be one of the first sort of types of classical music to begin to be presentable, start having these concerts. And fingers crossed, that's what will be a gateway into having this real intimate experience of listening to music and just experiencing these wonderful composers very, very close up. And that's what we love. And this is, unfortunately, it's wonderful to do this with Zoom, but there's nothing like this chamber music experience that you can have.
What an opportunity the COVID thing has given to everyone to actually experience this kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the benefits of being quarantined. You have to sit and do something, you get tired of TV. Why not try a little chamber?
Absolutely, yeah. And thank you again, Charlie, for doing this. This has been such a lot of fun, and yeah, really, really great.
David?
And it's so wonderful that you're just, like, as I said, supporting musicians and also bringing, the joy of having a small intimate space. Even though we're in Zoom, we're still in a room, and it really is, something very special for all of us to do.
Well, thank you very much. It's we're in a we're on a learning curve now of how to do this. We first tried doing it one way, and it didn't work very well because we had the way we're doing it now of putting it in a Zoom room and then streaming it to Facebook and YouTube to give people an opportunity to either join us in a room like this, or if they can't join us in a room like this, they can log on to Facebook and go to the site and do it there, or just go to YouTube and watch it. So we're learning how to do this, and we're going to get better and better and better at it.
It's kind of a virtual intimate room at the same time.
Yeah.
David?
Yeah.
Can you share with us what the pieces are going to be on the new CD, on the French CD?
Yeah.
Yes.
We have a list. Just we can give you composers.
Quick rundown. Very quick.
Hold on one second.
Okay.
Lean forward. Look as if you're doing something.
Aurelian's pulling it up.
Lean forward.
I guess that's the fun part for us is even pre-COVID, sometimes we get back from a concert and there'd be a pile of music that was sent to us. And even after a long day of rehearsal, it would be so exciting after the concert to just sit, glass of wine, and read through all this music. So
Tom, Jean Kral was one of the pieces we played tonight. That was written in 1927. Then Gabriel Tierney, who is quite well known for harp music and some guitar, that was in 1950. That was in 1930. Jean Martinon, who was the conductor of the Chicago Symphony Orchestra for quite a while, not that long, but a little bit. And it's a very fun piece written in 1947. Émile Gouet, who is an extremely good composer, who was deported during the Second World War, and that finishes the first CD. And the second CD is Thomas's trio, Jean Francais, which is a very famous string trio that a lot of people play. That's extremely difficult. Gustave Samazoy, who's a very, very not well-known composer. Great pieces, really, really fantastic. And we finish with Robert Casatsu, the trio that he wrote in 1938. So that's a two album.
Marvelous. Thank you.
Yeah, all great music.
When does that be expected to be recorded and released?
We're going to start recording late summer, early September. We have to. The hardest part with this is we have enough concerts lined up that we can play all of it, which is quite important. We've lived with a few of those pieces for a while. And then the idea is we have to record it in chunks because it's so much music, you can't record it in a weekend. So we have to figure that out because we record in Chicago. And when the hall is free and when we can do it and when Jim can do it. And so we'll know more in the next few months.
Now, does Dexter have a role in the new recording?
Well, actually, Dexter's over. Lucy and Jeff were here. Dexter, our dog, who usually is very, very good. The only time he isn't is like if there's somebody at the door, and there could be we were just really worried tonight that all of a sudden he would just bark. He's so quiet and good and usually sits right by us while we play. But he's at the neighbors just for a few hours.
Well, I want to, on behalf of Nancy and myself, I want to thank you, Desiree, David, Aurelian, for just being our dear friends, and we just love supporting you and featuring you because you're just magnificent. And we thank all of you that joined us tonight. I mean, this is wonderful. You saved a lot of money by not having to drive and park and that kind of stuff. So in lieu of that, just remember we'll send out on the Evite thing the way you can log on and contribute to this marvelous organization, and let them continue doing their magic.
And Desiree, David, Aurelian, thank you so much for bringing
Thank you, Nancy.
to our lives.
Okay, thank you. You know, Dima, Alyssa, we have a Bichon Shih Tzu. Ask what kind of dog.
Bichon, oh, bien fait, parfait.
Bichon. Dexter is his name.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just in terms of a preview of coming attractions, in January or so, we're going to feature some members of 8th Blackbird, and who are going to come in, and we love them, and I know the gang here loves the 8th Blackbird crew. And in February or so, or March, we're talking to a group, the Spectral Quartet, who may come back and give it a shot. We're becoming musically inclined, but we're going to also do some things about issues of the current day. We're going to have some speakers come in here and talk about things other than music. We're thinking of, a variety of things are on the table like we used to do, and we'll just see what can happen. But on behalf of Nancy and myself, and
stay tuned.
The Black Oak Ensemble, we love you. Thank you very much.
Anyone have any ideas of something they'd like to see that we can work on as well? Just let us know.
Yeah, let us know. Shoot us an email. What would you like to see? We're really gonna. This is a way to get together, you know. So if you got ideas, just send them to us, okay?
Okay.
Well,
Thank you so much, Charlie.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you so much for tuning
Thank
in.
you.
10-second countdown. 10, 9. We're gonna log off.
Be safe.
Bye-bye. Hi, Judy. Bye-bye, Judy. We love you, Judy.